Now, 8Sports Blitz. With Nolan Knight and Madeline Frentress.
It's a Dominion District class as one of the best offenses in the state hits the road for Midlothian to take on one of the area's best defenses in our 8Sports Blitz Game of the Week. Well, in our rivalry Game of the Week, it's the battle of the 301 as the undefeated Hanover Hawks hit the road to take on the 2-2 Atlee Raiders. Well, hello and welcome into the 8Sports Blitz Week 5 edition, everyone. I'm Nolan Knight, and thank you so much for making the Blitz your home for high school football. We got a great slate of games this week as Week 5, yes, 5 of the season is already here, and we had to get the fun started. We're going to start at Benedictine for one of the most anticipated matchups of the evening. The Cadets, our top-ranked team in the region, entered tonight's game having only given up 3 points all season, while St. Christ has impressed everyone with their undefeated start. We'll pick up the Cadets getting on the scoreboard first. Fred Dolan fakes out the cameraman to make things 7-zip, but on the next possession for St. Christ, Chase Roberts takes it in himself on the quarterback keeper for the first touchdown that the Cadets have given up all year. The Saints would fight hard tonight on the road, but the Cadets were able to hold off the comeback. It's JoJo Johnson that's going to go to work, breaks a tackle, scurries in for the score. He's got Power 5 offers for a reason. Cadets won it at home tonight, 35-21. To remain undefeated. Another good one taking place tonight was the matchup at Thomas Dale. It was an all-Central District showdown as the Knights welcomed the Prince George Royals to town. We'll pick up Thomas Dale leading 27. That's where we find this connection between Wyatt Jessup and Daniel Lewis. And then later in the drive, Thomas Dale in the red zone. Jessup hands it off to Naken Hines, and he takes it in for the score. Thomas Dale up 28-7 after a successful 2-point conversion. They remain undefeated with a 35-7 win over the Royals, and they'll now travel to an undefeated Meadowbrook team next week. Two great games there, but the matchup that caught our viewers' attention was the Dominion District class at Midlothian High School as the high-flying Huguenot Falcons traveled to 8th-ranked Midlothian to take on the Trojans in our 8Sports Blitz Game of the Week. Sports reporter Madeline Frentress was on the sidelines and has the full recap.
It was homecoming for the Midlothian Trojans in our Week 5 8Sports Blitz Game of the Week, but tonight it was the Falcons who looked the most comfortable on the field. All week we've been anticipating a battle of a matchup between Huguenot's offense and Midlothian's defense, but tonight the Falcons proved themselves on both sides of the ball. Huguenot was off to a hot start as quarterback Charles Scott fires across the field to Ivion Lewis. He breaks a tackle, he escapes another defender, and he's going to escape all the defenders for the touchdown, putting the Falcons up 6-0. Midlo can't answer, and it's another Falcons drive. Scott immediately throwing to his guy, and it's caught by Jamari Kane, who gets it in for the score, 13-0 Falcons. The Trojans had a few promising offensive plays like the short pass with plenty of yak, but they just weren't consistent and couldn't take it all the way. Then we got another Falcons drive, and it's a handoff to Markel Dabney. He's going to take it to the outside, turns on the Jets, and sidelines it to the house, making it 20-0 Falcons. The Falcons have the ball again, and Scott goes through his reads and airs it out. And it comes down caught in double coverage by Lewis, giving the Falcons a 28-point lead, and that's how the first half would end. The Trojans did get on the board with a touchdown in the third, but the Falcons played a true 4 quarters of football. The final of this one, 56-7.
Your defense almost shut out this Midlo team. What do you have to say about the way they played?
Oh, they played great. I'm very proud of the guys. They see that the hard work that they're putting in during the week translate to Friday nights, and that makes them believers. So again, they're believing in themselves. They're believing in what we can do and what we can ultimately be.
And what do you have to say about the way your offense played?
For sure, man. Offense played lights out. Played fast. We put a lot of points on the board. We want to score every drive. Obviously, we didn't. So we got some stuff to clean up, but we definitely played well tonight.
The Falcons continue to prove they're one of the best teams in the area after taking down previously undefeated Midlothian on homecoming. Reporting for 8Sports, I'm Madeline Frentress.
There you go, big win for the Falcons. Let's stay in the Dominion District. We'll go over to Cosby tonight. The Titans at home to host the 4th-ranked Manchester Lancers. The Lancers off to a red-hot start, while Cosby coming off of a lopsided loss to that Huguenot team. A great crowd on hand, and they had plenty to cheer about early. Preston McAfee back to pass, fires for Gabriel Whaley, and look out, the senior. turns on the afterburners. You're not going to catch them. 7-0 ball game. Titans out in front early, and they were juiced up. But Manchester would respond right back. It's a handoff for Genesis Pollard. He's going to make a couple of Titans miffs to move the chains. And then a few plays later, it's Landon Abernathy that's going to go to the air. He connects with his sophomore wideout, Tayton Yearly, for the score. Manchester's on the board, and it's 6-7. The Titans are ahead after the missed PAT. But in the second, it was all Lancers. They remain undefeated with a 30-13 win over Cosby. Just down the road at James River, there was another Dominion District showdown as Clover Hill came to town to take on the Rapids, and the Rapids would waste little time going to work. First quarter, it's Christian Jury that's going to get those legs churning, breaking tackles and getting into the end zone. For 6, the Cavaliers would look to respond, and they do. This time it's Jaden Thompson that answers the call. He finds the gap and gets into the end zone. It's the first touchdown of the season for Clover Hill. It was a high-scoring game tonight. This time Dylan Gentry fires for Nate Brookie. He's in for the score as River would take a lead, and they never give it up. They move to an impressive 4-1 on the year as they take down the Cavaliers at home tonight, 34-16. Looking at some more scores from the region. Second-ranked Rhino took care of business against Enrico, making a shutout 62-0 victory, while in another Capital District battle, it's the Tomato Bowl, and it's a 24-7 win over Mechanicsville for the Patriots. It's been a tough start to the season for both Mills Godwin and J.R. Tucker this year. They faced off tonight, and they met at the home of the Eagles for Colonial District Clash. Will pick up Mills Godwin leading 7-0, and they add to that lead thanks to this run from Luke Roberts to make it a 2-score game. But J.R. Tucker's defense made a couple of good plays tonight. How about the sack from Quentin Pierce? Despite that play, though, the Eagles would continue to dominate on the ground. This time it's Tino Covanez that weaves through the J.R. Tucker defense for another first-half score. He'd go on to score again before the first-half buzzer as the Mills Godwin Eagles move to 2-3 on the year with a 48-0 win over the Tigers. They'll face off against Herm next Friday. All right, guys, well, it's already time for us to call our first timeout of the show, but don't go anywhere. Coming up next on the Blitz, we head to Atlee to bring you this week's 8Sports Blitz Rivalry Game of the Week.
Stay tuned for more 8Sports Blitz! Go!
All right, welcome back in 8 Sports Blitz, everyone. Week 5 of the season is here, which means we're nearly halfway through the regular season already, which means we really have to take in all these great matchups, like the matchup at our 8 Sports Blitz rivalry game of the week. It's the battle of the 301. Atlee at Hanover, we picked up, tied at 7, and it's Caden Hughes that calls his own number around the left side through the defense, 14-7 Hawks. Atlee, though, would answer back in the second half with a similar play. Scotty Tompkins calls his own number. He ties it up 14-14. We got a ball game at Atlee. When the Hawks got the ball back, they'd go back to Old Faithful. Let Caden Hughes go to work, cooking up another touchdown run to give the Hawks the lead. This game was back and forth throughout the night, but a couple of key turnovers like this one, who gets the lane as Igloki pick, was the difference. The Hawks survived their road trip to Atlee 31-20 to remain undefeated. Hey, speaking of rivalry matchups, there was another one at Monacan tonight. The Chiefs looking for their first win of the year. Powhatan came to town, and just before halftime, they would get on the board. It's the quarterback keeper. It's Elliott Murphy that barrels his way into the end zone for 6 to take a lead just before the break. Monacan would try to run a little 2-minute offense drill to get on the board, but getting Aiden Spencer involved, a little tough. He's able to pick up some yards there, but they go into halftime trailing the Indians, and the Indians able to get down into the red zone. They'd have to settle for a field goal, and in the end, it's Powhatan that gets a win, or rather, it's Monacan that comes back to get their first win of the year, 29-26. Turning our attention to some other scores. Lunenburg gets a big win at home tonight, 44-20, while Amelia County and Nottoway squared off in a big James River matchup, and Amelia County comes away with the shutout victory, or rather, Nottoway did. Hey, speaking of big matchups, normally this would have been one of the biggest games of the night as Matoaka hit the road for Dinwiddie to take on the Generals, but Matoaka having a rare off year as they have not yet found the win column this year. Dinwiddie has been terrorizing everyone that he played. Will pick up in the first quarter with a pick. Zion Boster's pass is picked off by Kamari Cherry for the Warriors, but Matoaka would struggle to get anything going in this game. In fact, this pick 6 right here was the first touchdown of the night as Dinwiddie gets a shutout victory over the Warriors, 36-0. They remain undefeated. Hey, a couple of more games to get to tonight. Let's check back into the Colonial District for the next two. The Glen Allen Jags welcome undefeated Hampton Crabbers to town for an 804-757 matchup. We'll pick up in the first. It's Glen Allen that gets on the board first. It's my paisan, Ralphie Puccinelli, that calls his own number to get into the end zone to make it a 7-0 Jaguar lead. Hampton, Sidney Johnson would answer around the left side to tie the game up, but Puccinelli had a big night, would get a couple of touchdown passes to go in the second half as the Jags pull off the upset, hand the Crabbers their first loss of the year, 47-13 the final. While at Hermitage tonight, the Panthers were hoping to bounce back from that game of the week loss last week to Verina. Hermitage already up 35-0, and they would continue to roll in this one. They dominate deep run tonight, 55-0 the final in that one.